Greetings, brothers and sisters. So I got a great comment, not intentionally great, accidentally great comment to a viewer on my part of the video yesterday where I talked about the zombie economy. And the person wrote this. Great in cap letters. Any ideas on how to fix it? Did you miss the part of the zombie economy? Well, I don't know. I got a special potion. If the people in charge listen to me, I can cure the zombie economy. We have to travel through the mines of dysphoria and go to the Emerald Forest, and there we can find the elven rings of Splenda, right? And if we apply them directly, voila, henceforth the zombie economy will be cured, right? So, and so this is a picture of some of the goldenrod field that we have. We have our pasture now is just a big meadow, and we have a couple of hives of honeybees that are storing up honey for the winter, and they're all over the goldenrod, as are other natural pollinators. And when I was a kid, my mom was obsessed with my allergies, and I didn't even notice them, right? I was maybe stopped up in terms of not being able to breathe as well when I was sleeping. I don't know what it was. And she took me for all these allergy tests. And the one thing I remembered was I was really allergic to goldenrod and ragweed, and I had never seen either one of them because we didn't live anywhere near a natural area, right? We lived in a suburban city. And, people cut their lawns, and there wasn't any place that I would have seen such things. And if I did, I wouldn't have noticed them. I remember that, the ragweed and goldenrod came out in August or September or whatever it was. Connecticut's a little bit earlier because of the short summers. But, I didn't really notice much of a reaction. Like, I didn't remember. Of course, I didn't live by any of this stuff. But, so I carried this into my college years, this idea I was allergic to goldenrod and ragweed. And I remember, like, the test was something like if you tested 100, you were allergic. And I was like 7,000 for goldenrod and 5,000 for ragweed. And so, that was like one of the few things I remembered from that whole period of my mom being obsessed with my allergies. And then when I was Massachusetts, when I was 29, I was in a shared house. It's when I started the Heartfulness Sahaj Marg practice, doing the meditation. And there was a young woman, and she had a kid, like a baby, like a 1-year-old son, maybe a 2-year-old son. And she ended up marrying this guy who was kind of a good guy who ran a gas station. The woman was, I think, a college professor or something. And then there's a guy who owned the house. And we shared a bathroom upstairs, me and this. And one day I just started sneezing like crazy, right? Just, in August, maybe early September. I was just sneezing. I couldn't stop. And I went in the bathroom, and there was what appeared to be these golden flowers. It was goldenrod. And I'd never seen it before. But I knew exactly what it was, right? And I threw it out because I was like, I can't. I was sneezing so bad I couldn't even function, right? And then, years passed, and now where we live, we've converted our pasture. We just let it go sort of wild. We cut parts of it to grow food, and you see there's some of our garden there in front of the goldenrod. And, we walk around there with the last couple of years, and I haven't sneezed. I haven't much of a reaction. Sometimes when I cut the grass, I have to do a neti pot or something because I sneeze a little bit. I put some of that oil, this Ayurvedic oil in my nose and the sinuses. But I haven't had much of a reaction to the goldenrod. And so, my wife was doing research on it because she's getting into doing herbal tinctures. And I saw something else. Maybe something popped up. And goldenrod is, it's supposed to have all these healing qualities. It can be taken in a tincture form or a tea form. It helps all the things that I have problems with, right? I've talked about this before where, for example, poison ivy and jewelweed. Jewelweed is supposed to be an antidote for poison ivy, grow next to each other, right? If you get when they use anti-venom, they take the snake's venom and turn it into a cure, right? Oftentimes the poison and the cure grow right next to each other. And then there are things like dandelions that they have a long taproot, they have a long root, and they leach out a lot of minerals, and they're really great for the liver. There's properties in dandelions, and they only grow where people are. Dandelions don't grow anywhere but where people are. You don't find them in the woods or some state park, but you'll find them between the sidewalk blocks or growing in people's lawns. And, they had a great image of them spraying. There's a Roundup commercial, Monsanto Roundup, and the guy in the picture is spraying dandelions, right? And it's like kill the weeds, and it's with there's an active ingredient in Roundup is what they use to defoliate Vietnam, and the Vietnam vets all had this reaction to the Agent Orange that was created by Monsanto that now is connected to Roundup, right? And so that kind of thing, that kind of poison, that kind of toxin, you need a strong liver for, and something that helps with a strong liver, which I find dandelions quite, neat to look at. They're very, bright yellow like the goldenrod, and they come up in the spring. Oftentimes people have a lot of toxins following or being stuck inside in the winter, not getting as much sunshine, low vitamin D, and they have a lot of toxins in their system. And nature provides all these types of weeds, all these types of plants that are rich in antioxidants, and they're food for the liver, and they help people detox after being stuck in the house or whatever it was, the cabin or teepee or whatever it was years ago. Nature provides what you need. And so I was kind of interested that this goldenrod was also like that. It's something that, it helps with the liver and kidney and other issues and things I've had since post-COVID. And it just grows in abundance. We have acres of it, right? I mean, so much that we could never use it or process it. But my wife made her first herbal tincture, and we'll be using that or trying it in 6 weeks or whatever it takes to, it takes a while to get all the nutrients out of the flowers, but also we'll take some of the plants and hang them upside down, let them dry, and we'll try them in some tea. Just because, it's provided for us here. It's growing naturally. There's this other great story where my first family and I went to this guy. He had this blueberry farm. He had bought this big piece of property. He was some big New York, finance guy, and he moved to Virginia in the rural mountains. And he went to India, married like an Indian woman, and then he found this property, and he wanted to move to the country. And he had it had all these great blueberry bushes, and you would pay like $1.50 a pound, and there were so many blueberries, it was crazy. And he was saying that I talked to the guy for a bit, and he said that he had been trying to grow spinach for a very long time, and then he took a foraging class. He hired some guy who taught people how to forage and find natural weeds, because often the weeds are superfoods. They have lots of nutritional value. Plants that haven't been cultivated for taste and haven't been farmed in such a way that they lose their natural vibrance. And the guy who was training him said, "Why are you trying to grow spinach when you have all this lamb's quarter, which is a plant that grows quite prolifically in various areas?" He says it's 4 times more nutritious than spinach and has a better taste. And so often what we're looking for, or the solution, is right there in front of us. Not to the zombie economy, but oftentimes it's right, like we don't even know that the issues we have health-wise or whatever they are, energy-wise, or even mood, some mood things. There's things probably growing all around us, or even more so, just people and systems all around us that can help us with our problems, but we just don't have the ability to access them, right? Master Charge used to say there's, these cases where a squirrel is looking for its nuts that it's buried, and it freezes to death or starves to death. And if it had just dug another inch, it would have found the nuts it stashed away for the winter. And with that sort of sentiment, let's go on to see the Queen's funeral, where the solution is there, but I don't think anybody, at least the people attending the funeral, are going to find it. Okay, so let's start here with these guys in their sailor caps. Look at the uniforms. I mean, they spent, what's their uniform budget in Great Britain? This is their funeral. There they go. There's the march, the procession. That's the orb that's supposed to represent that the Queen is the God's sovereign on earth, and this is her scepter. That she's God's representative on earth. So she is God's representative on earth, or the king now, Chucky, and the scepter. And of course, all those jewels the other countries want back. Look at, there he is. There he is back here, too. Is that Chucky, too? Freemasonic floor. Very Freemasonic church here.
I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself.
Service in life, hope in death.
Well, all right, so they're going to move forward here. Look at these guys. Look at the uniforms. Look at them go. There we go. Oh, they're good singers, too. See some breakdancing. Look, he's crying. Look at Chucky get weepy. Look at this dude singing along. Chucky's getting weepy. This dude's singing along. Look at him go. Go, Chucky. Come on, you can squirt out some tears there, buddy. The JoJo Magoo's there. Travel. There he is, JoJo Magoo. His cousin Jill. There's that guy. There's that dude, Boris Johnson. Some of these other world leaders. There are these guys. These guys are the best at this. Look at them go. And the coffin, transport from London. British monarchs. I got more of the procession on my YouTube TV stuff. There we go. YouTube TV kind of screwed me. They're still doing this.
Wasn't perfect in the sense of the execution of it. Nothing went wrong. And think of the complexity, the number of times the casket had to be taken on and off, the number of miles it had to go, the number of troops, 6,000.
This Corpseathon isn't easy. It's not easy doing weekend at Bernie's with the Queen.
So many of them, they wanted to be there. They were there with a somber,
like that's why I said somber.
sense of celebration, if those words can be put together. But I feel
That's
it's
exactly
appropriate.
the phrase. That's exactly the phrase that we've seen over the last 10 days. Somber celebration.
Somber celebration. It's a celebration, but also somber.
Somber for the Queen, celebration for the next reign. Because we do now have to push forward to the reign of King Charles.
And in that, we saw that intimate moment at St. George's Chapel. The breaking of the wand, as you've talked about it, the symbol of the
breaking of the magic wand. They did it.
The current head of household breaking the wand over the coffin as a symbol of passing on.
Yeah.
Look at Chucky getting sad. Freemasonic floor.
Such a simple thing with so much power.
And it followed
Very powerful.
Charles having laid the colour.
Charles was getting laid.
On top of the clasp of the scepter. And just look at the Prince of Wales, or forgive me, the King's face.
The King, not the Prince of Wales, the King.
Etched with grief, pain, responsibility.
Come on, he's not even an actor. He's not even that quality actor. Look at Aaron Burnett.
All the things, he summed it up in one
She's like, can't even believe how over the top this guy is.
sentence right at the beginning. I feel the weight of history. He said it at the Accession Council. And for the last 10 days, we have witnessed this weight getting ever heavier on his shoulders.
Yes.
It's called the weight of failure. He's waiting to fail.
At that moment, we saw it, as she always said, right? You have to see to believe.
Yeah.
We saw, and we could believe and see that.
Exactly. It's so great. What a great point.
The Queen once said that grief is the price we pay for love, and I think we've really seen.
Okay, so I'm just going to bip around. This is 5 hours long. I'm going to bip around and see what we got here.
And I think it's so wonderful, really, when you consider how publicly the royal family have had to grieve this passing, that they have a few moments to themselves to have that private service. But what we do know
Look at him
is
grieve.
that Her Majesty's
Look at this guy grieve. He's such a grieving M&F-er here.
coffin, which we saw being lowered into the royal vault, will be moved to the
It's the royal bolt. He got the royal bolt. He was getting the royal bolt last night.
King George VI Memorial Chapel. That's an annex of St. George's Chapel.
Get your hair. It's raining. Don't let that happen.
That is where her father, her mother, her
Stiff upper lip.
sister are all buried. And tonight she will be reunited with Prince Philip, whose coffin will also be moved there. So she'll be reunited with the man she called
You
her
mean their
strength and stay
bones?
for all of those years. It has been an utterly
You mean their
extraordinary
bones will be reunited?
12 days of mourning for this nation. That ends tomorrow. Today, the scenes were absolutely extraordinary. I was on the long walk outside Windsor with one.
Look at the flag. Let him get in the flag there.
More than 2,000 dignitaries and royal members and public
It's a gumball guy. That's a gumball guy. He used to count Trump's lies in gumballs.
figures, including President Biden, paid their last respects.
Tens of thousands of people lined the street for the procession. The world also saw the crown, the orb, and the scepter removed from the top of the Queen's coffin to mark the end of the Second Elizabethan
That's an important
age.
orb. I've been talking about the orb now for years. That orb. Don't let that orb get away.
The crown jewels will be given to King Charles for his coronation. CNN's Anna Stewart is in Windsor, England for us. So, Anna, there were no cameras allowed at this family service. So do we know much about what happened?
Drawn by 142 Royal Navy personnel. The short journey from Westminster Hall to Westminster Abbey. Draped in the royal standard and topped with the imperial state
Look at all this symbolic, evil Illuminati crap up here.
crown, the sovereign's orb and scepter. Amid the wreath, a handwritten note from the king. In loving and devoted memory, Charles R.
When are they going to put this corpse in the M&F and ground?
A woman with integrity. She has lived so well and set examples for every one of us to follow.
We thought it
She was a baby eater.
was our duty really to come down and pay our respects.
She's been a massive part of everybody's life.
Okay, these are losers. You guys, if you don't know what losers look like, everybody showed up at this funeral. That's what they look like. That's the face of losers right there. Look at them sad. Look at them cry. If you cry, you're like a bigger loser. If you're there just to have some fun and pickpocket people, I don't know what. That's one thing. But if you're there to cry, you're the biggest losers. Look at them go. What's so sad? Look at those uniforms. Look at those hats. Look at those big ass hats there. Those are some M&F hats. No one does hats like the British. Here we go. Are we putting that corpse in the ground yet? Where is it going? Look at him cry. Look at this guy. He's a cry. I'm going to miss you, Mama. Mommy. I'm going to miss you. I'm so sad. And they're breaking the stick. We saw that already. Boom. Do it again. It was better the second time. Look at those bagpipes. Nothing says funeral like a bagpipe. Okay, good. Are they putting in a vault or what are they doing? They don't bury him, I guess. They put him in some place where they can access their bones. Okay, so here are some of the headlines. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's discover they were uninvited from a reception from the press. They were invited and they were uninvited. Look at his medals. She didn't do anything heroic, but this guy, he's got the medals to prove it. Prince Harry humiliated after Queen's initials stripped from his military uniform. They defrocked him. He's humiliated. He just, the poor guy.
In the late Queen, she saw herself, as you using your language, Hallie, as just a regular person.
Yeah,
and one who was
your
also
language.
devoted to a lifetime of service. And that's what we saw.
All she ever did was serve. She served herself helpings of children from Canada. She served herself millions of dollars from the taxpayer, her multiple houses, and all she did was to serve. She didn't get anything out of it for herself.
things by the monarch, some sort of title or some sort of accolade, and that's why they were invited. And so that dichotomy wasn't necessarily a split screen between those two.
Look at all these winners here. These guys.
It was a common thread that united not only the people at the funeral, but also...
Look at this. Make sure you get this on tape because there's going to be no film of this. You're not going to be able to find this anywhere. So make sure you guys have your cameras up in the air to get some poor quality footage of these dopes in their stupid uniforms that you're paying all kinds of money for, so they can strut around banging their drums. Make sure you get it, because you won't be able to find any video online about this.
The monarchy itself.
And there was so much of the Queen woven into this service, right? Because in this way that I think some people in the United States think about, I think some people try not to think about what happens after you're gone, right? What does that service look like? What do those moments look like? This was all carefully planned out and thought out, and it had been for years and years. And the Queen had a hand in what we saw today.
She had a hand in everything.
Yeah, and again, Hallie, it's something that you mentioned in your introduction, a really important observation about what went on.
Look at this. Look at this. She had to serve. Look at this dilapidated house she had to serve. Her life full of service. She had to be in one of these. She only had 6 castles, and she had to serve so much. And, she didn't really get anything for herself. Meghan Markle's, look, she's crying. Why are you crying, Meghan? You didn't like that biatch. Meghan Markle's gave Prince Harry silent support at Queen's funeral. Why are you crying, right? You seriously crying? You barely knew her. Prince Charlotte, 7, comforted by mom, Kate Middleton at Queen's funeral. Prince Harry and Prince William keep their distance at Queen's funeral. There they are. Look at the distance they're keeping there. Look at all the hats. They got, they know how to rock the hats there. King Chucky leaves touching note on Queen's coffin. Already heard about that. There it is. That's a touching note from Chucky. Thanks, Mom. You finally gave me a chance to be king. Let's put your ragged old bones in the ground. The tomb or wherever it's going. Why Meghan Markle's and Kate Middleton didn't walk in the Queen's funeral procession? I don't know, because they're dudes without uniforms. I mean, why was that? I don't know. I don't care. Spider spotted crawling across the top of the Queen's casket. No way. What kind of spider was it? A certain spider just wanted to say goodbye to his late queen. Yeah, or eat bugs. I don't know. One of the two. Queen Elizabeth laid to rest with elaborate final farewells. It was about time. They were just parading this weekend at Bernie's corpse around the streets of London. Prince Harry, Meghan Markle snubbed with seating arrangement at Queen's funeral. They got the snub. They took it on the chin, all of them. Their Markles. Prince Andrew banned from wearing military uniform to Queen Elizabeth's funeral. Because he's a pedo, right? There he is, right here. Look at him. Just look at him. Look at this poor MNFer here. This sad, embarrassed, poor MNFer.
Before attending to business, the 73-year-old monarch met with a very important member of the Welsh Armed Forces.
There's the goat.
Shinekin IV, the goat mascot for the Royal Welsh 3rd Battalion.
Look at him. Look at him. Look at him with the goat.
Cardiff Castle. A goat is the traditional mascot for the Royal Welsh, with different regiments having different...
Look at him go. Look at him laugh at the goat. He's not, it's not even, this was on Friday. So this is 3 days ago. And he's even, that goat just cheers everybody up. This Baphomet looking MNFer right here. Here they go. Boom, 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 boom. Look at that goat go. Look at that goat leading the way. That goat's the best. Look at him go. There he goes. Look at that goat. Leading down the procession. Where'd they be without that goat? That goat is the mascot of choice. His Baphomet horns and all the rest of it. Those Welsh know how to party. And here he is, one JoJo Magoo. He's got words to say here.
President, first Detroit Auto Show in 3 years.
Yeah.
Is the pandemic over?
The pandemic is over. We still have a problem with COVID. We're still doing a lot of work on it.
Boom. Look at this guy bringing the news The pandemic is finally over. I'm glad you said that because I was worried.
But the pandemic is over.
The pandemic's over.
Notice no one's wearing masks. Everybody seems to be in pretty good shape. And so I think it's changing, and I think this is a perfect example of it.
So I'm going to cover more of the 60 Minutes thing tomorrow. There's one thing a bunch of people have sent me. I got a few other things I didn't get to today. Hopefully this royal thing is over. Like, I'm tired of seeing it. It's taking up all the headlines. And where's when they can finally get back to crapping all over Trump, right? Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely reporting from the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.